You're listening to the PRO Media Network. The next level in entertainment.
Are you a boxing fan? Check out Ring Kings Boxing only on the PRO Media Network.
What's up, boxing world? What's going on? You're now rocking with Ring Kings Boxing. That's right, Ring Kings Boxing on the PRO Media Network. I'm Big Q chiming on with you, and this is Ring King Boxing episode 322. That's right, 322. We coming at you. And on today's show, as usual, co-host Eddie Too Mean Johnson, our boxing contributor and expert, is on the line. What's going on, Too Mean?
Oh, what's good, man?
Everything in the world of boxing, bro. We got a lot to talk about on this episode, my friend. Ring King Boxing 322. Got a couple of recaps, but then again, some previews coming up for this upcoming season. Of course, we have we're gonna recap the Gervonta Davis and Hugo Ruiz fight that happened with Gervonta, just showing he's a true competitor in this thing, and just took the guy out, busted his nose, and knocked him out in the first round kill. We're gonna go over that. Also, we have Carissa Shields and Christine Hammer. We're gonna talk about them. They got a really big fight coming up. We gotta show the ladies some love because they doing it big. This is a really good fight between two really serious champions that I really advise if you're a boxing follower. Ring Kings Boxing, we thumbs up this matchup. We're gonna go over it. Also, other news pertaining to them. We got a few recaps we're gonna go over. Previews, of course. Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence got one coming up on, what is it, March the 16th, to me? I think it's the 16th.
March 16th.
Is Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence. Now, Errol Spence been out for a minute, man, since that last fight that he had when he fought Campos in Texas. That was a laughable affair, but nonetheless, this one won't be. Mikey Garcia leveling up, man. He moving up to the welters to take on Errol Spence. We're going to preview that fight as well and give you our take on who we think will win. Also, some more boxing news. We're going to cover everything from Anthony Joshua and Jarrell Miller, a big baby stumping in. Also, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury news we're going to cover you with. And, of course, another heavyweight boxing matchup between Dylan White and Dominic Breazeale, which was ordered by the WBC, creating an interim title for these two guys. We'll break that down and give you our takes on that bout as well. So, without further ado, hit that subscribe button and subscribe to Ring Kings Boxing. And we are here every week giving you that real deal on boxing, man. So welcome aboard. And here we go. To me, Gervonta Davis and Ruiz, man. A lot of people thought this fight wouldn't be much of nothing. Thought it would be a decent fight. But Gervonta Davis levels Hugo Ruiz and retains his junior lightweight title. What's your take on this fight, man? What you thought about the win by Davis?
Oh, man. Gervonta Davis, he just too damn powerful for them guys, man. He got that explosive-ass power. You know what I'm saying? They look at him, they look at his fighter, oh, he ain't going to do that to me. But when they start feeling that power, they were like, oh, shit. Like they lose their will to win quick as a motherfucker. It's like their power changes that shit. You know what I'm saying? When they get hit with that power, it changes their mind up quick, man. He be breaking them quick.
Well, he was. They thought Ruiz would probably be a contender for him. He's a former junior featherweight world title holder, and he won a lopsided decision back in January the 19th. On the Manny Pacquiao Adrian Broner undercard. That guy, he moved in to fill in. He moved up another weight class. A promise to give Gervonta Davis. He moved in to fill in for the other fighter that had dropped out. But it was something special because you had more of the pomp and circumstance around the fight that lasted longer than the actual fight. If you think about it, of course, when he came in, there was the Thriller theme and all that kind of stuff happened before the fight. And ultimately, Tank Davis claimed another victim. Man, it's getting too easy, man. Tank Davis, what do you think, man? It's talk about him moving up in class. Wouldn't you think that'd be a good idea? I know you talked about a fight potentially with Gary Russell Jr., but what do you think about him moving up?
I would like to see him and Gary Russell Jr. go at it. And then Roman Chico, that would be two good fights for him. That would be, see if he's the real deal. I mean, that, if he was to get past them, he'll be considered real pound for pound in that lower weight class, or pound for pound, one of the best pound for pound. He needs to get past them two.
Well, according to CompuBox punch stats, Davis landed 11 of 56 punches. That's 20%. Ruiz landed only 3 of 19 for 16%. Didn't last much longer for you to have too many statistics, but it don't take stats to show that Tank Davis just did away with this guy, just buried him. And I agree with you, Tumin. I think the next step is, kind of climbing that ladder a bit. Lomachenko is also having, interest, finding fighters that can complement him. Is almost looking boring for Lomachenko as good as he is. He has to start looking for, maybe making these type of fights happen with Gervonta Davis fighting with a guy like Lomachenko or Gary Russell Jr. I would like those are the cream of crop in that genre. But man, it's Tank Davis, man, just blasting these guys away, and it got to get boring, man. Eventually, he's gonna have to move up in class. It's not gonna be anything there left to challenge him. Let's move into the next talk. Let's move into the next discussion, Eddie. Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, man, that's one that's coming up here. On, like we said, it's on the 16th of March next month. This is a big fight, man. Probably the first, I ain't gonna say the first big fight of the year, because you had a couple of good fights. Of course, you had Adrian Broner and the Pac-Man fighting earlier this year as well. But this is another serious fight between against two really good opponents. In my opinion, about the Black Hat, speaking about Mikey Garcia, is that Mikey Garcia is a very tough fighter. I mean, he's smart. He knows how to box. He's an intelligent fighter. He's under control at all times. He takes less. He's very intelligent how he move, and very cold and calculating fighter in the ring. Doesn't take that much damage. Very smart fighter, Mikey Garcia. Then of course we not gonna talk about his background and that boxing lineage, the trainers, that family of Garcias, which is just champions in the boxing game. But Mikey's the best of the bunch in my opinion. But looking at him, he basically went after Errol Spence, who didn't really have anybody to fight, and he's moving up in class to fight Errol Spence, who's a dangerous body puncher in his own right and powerful in his own right. And if you look at Mikey Garcia, he done bulked up some, but it's something that he's seen in Errol Spence that he think he can capitalize on, because Errol has his flaws, believe it or not. He has a lot of boxing flaws in his game, all that talking aside. But Mikey Garcia, man, this will be an interesting fight, and this will be Errol Spence one of his most toughest fights to date. And this is going to show whether or not he belongs up there in the echelon of welterweights in that division. I'm just happy to see Mikey Garcia in the welters, and people like him, Eddie, like him and Terrence Crawford moving up into the welters to fight. And then Pacquiao coming back in there to kind of make the welters, good again, and not good, good, but great again, because that just the level of boxing and welters done went up significantly. But talking about this fight, who, in your opinion, between Mikey Garcia and Errol Spence, wins this fight and why?
It's going to boil down to who's going to impose their will. You know what I'm saying? Whoever imposes their will the most is going to win that fight. But, you know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that because Errol Spence is a lot bigger, that you know what I'm saying, that's going to be his advantage. I mean, it is an advantage, but a smart fighter knows how to you know what I'm saying, how to adjust to the bigger man, you know what I'm saying, with timing, you know what I'm saying, and movement, like lateral movement and working angles, and not standing still to get hit by a person that's bigger. And, you know what I'm saying, putting their weight on, leaning on and all that to try to wear them down. You know what I'm saying, a smart fighter knows how to get around that. But like I said, it's going to be whose will to win is stronger that night. You know what I'm saying, I don't think because Errol Spence is bigger that you know what I'm saying, that's going to be the main factor. Even though he has skill and he has a strong will too, as well as Mikey Garcia, who comes from you know what I'm saying, championship family. You know what I'm saying, his brothers, uncles, whatever. You know what I'm saying, he got it all in his blood, man. The champ. Whose will is going to be stronger that night? That's who's gonna win that fight.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Eddie. No doubt about it, man. And we mentioned the bloodline of these two fighters, and of course the tail of the tape between both of them. This is gonna be set up in the AT&T Stadium in Jerry's World, of course, on March the 16th that night. Now, of course, Errol 24-0 coming into this fight, or 21 knockouts, as you know, in his repertoire. He's 147 pounds and almost 5'10", about 5'9" and a half. Okay, about 5'9.5". Now the interesting thing is he's a southpaw, and he has 72-inch reach. Now we forget that he does have that ability. He has that reach, 72 inches. Now this is Mike Garcia. He's 39-0. Of course, that's a lot more experience than him. 39-0 versus 24-0. He's a couple years older than Errol at 31. Orthodox fighter. Now he's 5'6". Now Errol's 5'9.5", and Mikey Garcia is about 5'6". So he's giving up a few inches. But 39-0 with 30 knockouts, Eddie. And like you said, that great boxing background of Mikey Garcia. Now this the IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence against 4 division winner champ and current WBC lightweight champion Mike Garcia. So this is a battle of 2 champions here, you know. So it's gonna be interesting, man. But Mikey Garcia, man, I don't know. I can appreciate Errol taking this fight because the skill level. I don't know if any fighter that in Errol's repertoire that he done fought in his 24 fights that has the skill of a Mikey Garcia. I really can't speak to it. I mean, I may think of Kell Brook, you know, but then again, maybe not, you know. But in the end, this is gonna be an interesting fight to me, and I don't know. I got a weird feeling about this one, Eddie. I think this one's gonna. I just think this is just me talking. This is gonna fall toward the side of the more accomplished boxer. I just think it's a mismatch in terms, unless Errol Spence shows me something that he's never shown me before, you know, to box with Mikey Garcia. Because if you remember when the last fight he fought against Robert "the Bum" Easter Jr. Robert Easter Jr. was just, you know, I mean, his boxing game is severely flawed. Severely flawed. He takes way too much punishment. He doesn't utilize his size, his reach like he's supposed to. Unless Errol fights, you know, I don't know if you could say keep him away from him, because I don't think Mikey Garcia is a danger up under, but he's a smart fighter. You wouldn't want him away. So I would definitely keep him at bay, use my length, 72 inches, a length to kind of keep him paw at him. But this is a boxer here, Eddie. I mean, this is a boxer here.
Yeah. Well, Spence, he fought he used to spar with Mayweather. Mayweather said he had to come back. He's like, yeah, I got to tighten up on my shit, because Errol Spence gave him all the work he can handle, man.
That's true.
So he could deal. Errol Spence can deal with a great boxer. You know what I'm saying? And like I say, he has a good IQ in the ring. Even though he ain't have as many fights as Mikey Garcia, but he has a good IQ in the ring. He can box too. Like I say, whoever's will is the strongest that night. You know what I'm saying? Because some people, you know what I'm saying, they be in a fight and they get their will broken. Their will to win broken. You know what I'm saying? So whose will is stronger that night is going to win that fight. That's what it's going to boil down to. And because like with Errol Spence and Kell Brook, he just broke Kell Brook's will, man. He just kept coming and banging on him. He just broke him. Like he did with all the people he fought, he just broke him, man. His will, he got a strong ass will, man. He just would not stop coming, and he would not stop throwing punches neither. He just keep coming, man. So Mikey can handle that shit, but not just handle it, but able to work off of that. You know what I'm saying, about taking that away from him, then work and impose his will. Then I think it'll be easy, but like I say, it ain't gonna be easy for either one of them.
No, this
will stronger, man.
This is definitely gonna be an awesome fight, man. No doubt about it. Both of them guys, it's gonna be an excellent fight. I you know, it's so close to me to call this fight. I'm leaning toward Mikey Garcia, to be honest with you, because I've seen his fights and I've seen Errol's. But it's just something about Mikey Garcia. He wouldn't just go and pick out Errol Spence. Errol Spence is a dangerous welterweight. But for Mikey Garcia to go and literally go at him and say, I want to fight Errol Spence, he could have said that to Thurman. He could have said that to Sean Porter, which probably would have been an easier fight for him versus fighting Errol Spence. Just to be honest with you, no disrespect to Porter, but Errol Spence is a better fighter than Porter. You know, Porter holding the belt, he could have picked him. He could have picked whoever he wanted to pick. He could have, you know, opened his mouth and fought any one of them, but he specifically pointed his finger at Errol Spence and said, I want to challenge you. Something in this game that he sees. So I'm kind of leaning toward Mikey Garcia with here because of the experience advantage, because I know he's the type of fighter to take advantage of things like that. That experience, that little bit more ring intelligence than the other guy has. So 24-0 versus 39-0, that guy has a lot more experience there that he can, a couple of tricks he could pull out the bag, as it were. But let's move on to the next fight, Eddie. Oh, you want to comment on that, what I just said, before we move on to the next topic?
I hope he sees something, you know what I'm saying, something very what I'm saying, is reality than what he's seen. If he's seen some flaw that is reality, like what Sugar Ray Leonard did with Marvin. You know, Sugar Ray Leonard was a welterweight, and he moved up to middleweight to challenge Marvel's Marvin Hagler, because he knew Marvin slowed down a bit, and he was a little older. You know what I'm saying? So he really wasn't like he was when he's young. But Errol Spence is young. He's still young, man. So, you know what I'm saying? I hope whatever he's seen is reality and not no illusion he's looking at.
Absolutely. Let's hope so. He's a pretty smart guy in how they fight, man. So we'll see what they're looking at. Let's move on to our next issue here. The next thing I want to talk about is the Anthony Joshua versus Jarrell Miller. Of course, we mentioned this on the last podcast. It's a done deal. They're coming to Anthony Joshua is going to make the trek across the pond to come here and fight in Madison Square Garden. This will be his very first U.S. fight in the States. And of course, he thinks it's time for the rest of the world that's not Europe or UK, what have you, to know who Anthony Joshua is. Because over here, a few people know, but he's fighting in the most famous venue in the country, Madison Square Garden, in the backyard of Jarrell Miller. So this is like really disrespectful, if you ask me. If I'm Jarrell Miller, I'm happy, but I feel it disrespectful. How dare you challenge me in my backyard, you know, to make your stand? That's really big, because he could have chose any place. He can go and fight in Los Angeles. He could have fought in. It's a number of places that he could have fought in, you know. A number of places in the country, but he chose Madison Square Garden, the backyard of Jarrell Miller. Big Baby gets an opportunity to get a shot at the crown after talking about Anthony Joshua's mama. Eddie, what's your take on this fight, man?
Oh yeah, it's personal for Anthony Joshua. He wants to punish Big Baby. He gonna try to make him cry like a baby. That's what his mission is, man. Like he didn't appreciate that shit he did, especially what he said about his mother. So Big Baby better be ready. And I think his style is like tailor-made for Anthony Joshua. You know what I'm saying? I think Joshua probably gonna knock him out. I think before the 10th round, he probably have him out of there before the 10th round.
This is what Big Baby was saying recently about Anthony Joshua. He keeps turning it up. He says, I've heard crazy things about him in his camp, that he has to get a psychologist and all kind of crazy things. But when you've been protected most of your life and go to prep school and you find that there are wolves and bears and tigers out there, they're going to be in your face every day. They act different. That is a quote from Big Baby talking about Anthony Joshua. And he keeps turning it up. If one thing Baby can do is he can talk. Big Baby can talk. He's not a bad fighter, and to be honest with you, Big Baby is a pretty good fighter. But you know, like you said, Eddie, and me and you talked about this before about Jarrell Miller. He don't move very well. You know, he's a big guy. He dips a little bit when he get ready to jab at you, but he's basically right in your face. You know, it's like, you know, we gonna stand toe to toe and fight with you. I'm not gonna dip and slide and move and kind of feint like Tyson Fury do. Tyson feints three or four times before he actually throws something, and it kind of throws you off your game because you anticipating him to throw something at you. Big Baby, no such monster. Big Baby is there, and what you see is what you get. And he's gonna stand right in front of Anthony Joshua, and he gonna get his ass laid out, because like me and you talked about, Anthony Joshua is like the champion, 3 belt, 4 belt, how many belts he has. He has all of them except for the one, all of the ones that mean anything in the heavyweight division, except for the one Deontay Wilder have for the WBC. But this is a guy that doesn't have, like, he's a worldwide celebrity except for in the United States. Everybody know who the man is. But if you think about what kind of fighter he is, he doesn't have a signature punch. And I keep saying this, and I'm the only one to keep saying this, that everything he hits you with hurts. Everything he hits you with hurts. But as far as the Anthony Joshua thing, man, he is a fighter that don't have a signature punch. But yet he brutalizes all of the heavyweights that stood before him. We talking about Dylan White, we talking about Joseph Parker, we talking about Klitschko, we talking about whoever, you name it. Most of the fighters in the heavyweight division have been brutalized and beaten up. Dominic Breazeale. You know, his only loss came against him, and he knocked Dominic Breazeale out. And it wasn't like a knockout. He really just, you know, knocked him upside the head and beat a 6'7" guy into the ground. So what I'm basically saying is the only other fighters outside of Jarrell Miller that he wants to fight, that he's never fought in Jarrell, he hasn't fought Luis Ortiz, hasn't fought Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. Those 4 guys are probably, you know, in a top echelon of the top 10 fighters that's remaining that he hadn't fought. And I think that's the next thing on the horizon. The Jarrell Miller fight will happen real soon in Madison Square Garden. And then perhaps later on in the year, we can finally get it over with and get the winner of the Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury matchup against Anthony Joshua. Because ain't no doubt in my mind, unless Anthony Joshua was smoking dope and drunk 100 beers before this fight, that he's gonna brutalize Jarrell Miller, because Jarrell Miller is not going anywhere. He's just gonna stand in front of him and just take punches and just be a punching bag. I mean, to be a punching bag with what kind of trunks he be wearing with the war trunks on. You know, you might as well take a big punching bag and put the war trunks on that Jarrell likes to wear, and that's what he gonna be. I mean, unless he shows me something that he never did before. Unless he, you know, turns it up. That's his style is made for him to get his ass whooped. I mean, it's Povetkin all over again. Except this guy can take a lot more abuse. He gonna ugly him up some, but I doubt Jarrell got anything that can deal with Anthony Joshua, man.
Well, I agree with it. Like I say, he got to show something that he ain't never showed before. Which he been fighting that all his fights the same way. I don't think he's gonna be able to change nothing in one training camp like that. That's gonna be able to deal with Anthony Joshua. So we'll see. Let's see if he can, you know, say he can back up what all that talking he was doing. Let's see if he can back it up.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting to see Jarrell Miller run his mouth. He'll win that war, because when the press conferences kick off, he's just going to run his mouth, and Anthony Joshua is going to sit there and smile like he does most of his fights, and listen to the other guy run his mouth, and then it's the same effect when the fight comes.
Too. I mean, when they was doing the promotion for the Povetkin fight, when he walked up on the stage, Miller,
right,
he kind of pissed Joshua off, man, because he was talking shit, man, interrupting them while they were taking their pictures, and he got I could see it in his eye. He got pissed. But I think Miller's trying to get him angry and fight. I think that would be a mistake though too.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a good idea for you to piss off Anthony Joshua, because he already cool and calm in the ring, and you don't give him any more reasons to beat on him. He said stuff about his mama. Then the press conference incident that occurred, he was there to fight the other guy, Moropas, if I'm not mistaken, Dupas or whatever his name is. He was there to fight Dupas, and Povetkin was sitting up, you know, standing up, ready to take a picture. He turns all the way around with his belts to confront with Jarrell. What the hell Jarrell Miller talking about? And they had a face off, and he wasn't even there to fight him. He fighting Povetkin, and Jarrell Miller behind his back mounting off to him, and Miller here to fight Dupas. So I mean, he gonna understand how. Just call Dylan White. Hey, big baby, do yourself a favor. Go call Dylan White. Call Carlos Takam. Call Joseph Parker. Call the rest of Dominic Breazeale. Call the rest of those dudes and ask them how that dude knocked them the fuck out, because that's exactly what's gonna happen to you. You're gonna get to be the member of the Knock the Fuck Out Club. Next move, let's go on there. Let's move to our next discussion here, man. The next thing we'll talk about is, of course, Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury are supposed to do it again. They're supposed to rematch coming up here in April or May. They haven't decided on the dates, but that is supposed to be announced in the next 4 or 5 days. We'll know exactly the date where the rematch will be done. It's already been decided that they'll fight again. It was ordered by the WBC, Suleiman, who sits at the head of that it was already announced that it's a mandatory deal. So they screwed Dominic Breazeale in the process, gave him a little bone, but we'll break that down in just a second. But it's already set up. They have a purse bid they're supposed to do. Of course, we don't think the purse bid's going to happen. Well, if it works out, it'll be a 60-40 split or something like that, which Tyson Fury is not tripping. He's going to take the money and run with it for the match. And I think that he needs to train a little different than what he would not train, but he need to implement more of a tag dog style, man. I mean, you felt the manpower. You got up from that. In my opinion, you got a psychological advantage because you know how hard he punched. You felt it. You survived it. You got up. And actually, he won that fight. You know, I think it was a shame they took it away from him, but actually he won that fight. And Deontay Wilder made a serious mistake by taking this fight. I'm just going to tell you that. Unless Deontay, I'm going to say this for the third time, unless Deontay Wilder, I said about most boxers, unless he does something different that I haven't seen from him in these 39 fights, you know, that he's going to end up, Eddie, listen, the last couple of fights that he had were fights that he were actually beaten in those fights until he was luckily survived some of these fights. The last one was a bad call on the referees because he actually lost that fight. The one when he fought Luis Ortiz had him and Luis Ortiz ran out of juice. But had Luis Ortiz had enough juice, he would have put Deontay Wilder away in that fight. Bottom line, these are two very close fights, and the key thing is both of those big fighters he fought, the last two guys he fought, were really skilled big heavyweights. Luis Ortiz is, in my opinion, the most skilled heavyweight in the class. Tyson Fury is very skilled in his own right. He's a big guy that can move very well, 6'9". I love Tyson Fury style. The thing about it is Deontay Wilder lucked up in those. I ain't gonna say lucked up, but fortune was on his side for those two fights. This time around, I think it's a big mistake for you to fight Tyson Fury. I would have just went and fought fought Anthony Joshua. More money, and then I'm fighting for a belt. You lose, you don't get anything. I mean, perhaps they have another rematch clause in there, but who wants to see them again a third time? Would you? You know what I'm saying? But I guess, Eddie, what do you think about what I'm saying? Those guys matching up. Do you think it's a mistake by Wilder to take this fight to fight Tyson Fury for no belts? He fighting him for money he don't even have to fight him for. The bigger money would be to fight Anthony Joshua, who has all the belts, 2 champions fight. It'll be built as one of the biggest heavyweight fight in some time. I mean, you know, it'll be, I would say, probably the biggest heavyweight fight, and you correct me if I'm wrong, since Tyson and Lennox Lewis fought. You know, when they fought when they fought belt to belt. That's the last really solid heavyweight, 2 champions really clashing type of deal that I remember in a long time. Is he making a mistake by taking this rematch and fighting for basically nothing but money when he could have just fought for the belts from Anthony Joshua? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the reason why he's taking the fight because he's trying to prove that that he can beat Tyson Fury. You know what I'm saying? But like I say, he's gonna be dealing with a much sharper and much more prepared Tyson Fury. It's gonna be a very difficult fight for him. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna have to. If he got a bag of tricks, he got to pull them all out, pull it off, man. And you know what I'm saying? Like when he fought like Ortiz and all them, they came close, but they didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? It's all at the end of the day, he got the win, so you got to respect him for that. But you know, like I said, they almost had him, but they didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And Ortiz should have known better not to run out of gas, knowing he's fighting for the biggest prize in sports. You know what I'm saying? He should have been well prepared all across the board, so there'd be no excuses at the end of it. He should have had that. You know what I'm saying? He should know. You know what I'm saying? Anybody who's fighting for the championship, especially the heavyweight, which, like I said, is the biggest prize in sports. You know what I'm saying? Once you win that, then you're a world. You know what I'm saying? You could be, you know what I'm saying, on your way to being a world hero. So that's like, you got to come prepared for that, man. So, yeah, like I say, he going to have to pull out some. If he got a lot of tricks in his bag, he's going to pull them all out that night when he fights Tyson Fury, because Tyson Fury is going to be a lot more prepared and better shape, and he knows what he's dealing with. So, you know what I'm saying? Plus his awkwardness, and he can box and he can move. So he have to pull something off. He got to, like I say, he gonna have to get in that bag of tricks if he got him, pull them all out and see what happens.
Absolutely, man. That's another interesting fight here. A bunch of really good fights coming up, man. Coming down. I can't wait for this one. We'll see if Deontay Wilder can put Tyson Fury away for the second time. First time was a draw. This time here, you know, man, I don't know. Tyson has the heart of a champion. Deontay is the champion. He has a big heart. You know, fighting for a lot. something got to give. Something got to give. There'll only be one champion. We're going to see how it go. Next fight, we're going to talk about the next topic. Is, of course, Clarissa Shields and Christina Hammer, man. They set for a middleweight unification fight in April. This is supposed to be on Showtime. And, of course, this is going to be an excellent fight. Both of these women coming in this thing here are serious fighters, both champions in their own right. Man, you're looking at an unbeaten middleweight champion in Clarissa Shields, Eddie. And then you got Christina Hammer. That's set for April the 13th and to crown an undisputed queen at 160 pounds. Man, this is going to be in Atlantic City, in your neck of the woods, buddy. I know you probably going go and check it out. But man, this is interesting. Listen to what Clarissa Shields said. This is her quote from an interview. She said, "Nothing will stop me from becoming the undisputed champion and continuing my journey to carry women's boxing to never before seen heights. I want to be the greatest. I want to be the greatest of all time and change the game forever for all women in sports. And April the 13th is an important step on that road to history." That's what Clarissa said. Big, heavy talks from Clarissa.
That's a powerful statement, man. So she's definitely on a strong. She has a serious mission. And I don't think it's gonna be hard to try to discourage her or try to take off her mission, man. But what's name got the tools to do it. So Clarissa Shields is gonna have to. She definitely gonna. I'm quite sure that she's gonna be on her A game. But you know what I'm saying, her skills against Hammer skills, we'll see who could come out on top. Because Hammer do got them skills, like keeping them women out on the outside, using that height and stuff. She can box good on the outside. And Clarissa Shields, I'm quite sure that her training, they gonna work on that. Well, they've been working on it because she did have problems in the Olympics with a woman that keep her on the outside. She wound up losing it, but she came back.
Now she fighting a very tough fight in her own right. This could very well be one of the toughest fighters she's fought to date. And Christina Hammer, now she's no bum either. She's 24-0 with 11 knockouts, the WBO champ, and she's in WBC in recess. Completed in June of 2018 a unanimous decision over Tori Nelson last time. 28-year-old native of Kazakhstan fighting out of Germany, and she dominated the women's middle division for a period of 8 years. And she first appeared on the same card with the 23-year-old Shields, which is a two-time Olympic gold medalist from Michigan. And, man, these are built as two of the best pound-for-pound women fighters in the business right now. This is the first four-belt unification bout in women's middleweight history, Eddie. So that's saying a lot, man. So and Hammer was quoted as saying, "I've waited a long time for this moment. I'm bigger, stronger, and more experienced than Clarissa Shields, and I'm undefeated, and I've been a champion for over 8 years. I can't wait to show the world that I am the best and undisputed middleweight champion of the world." Big, tough words from Christine Hammer. Eddie, in your opinion, who wins this fight?
I had to go with T-Rex, man. Her will is just so strong, man. She's going to be all over Hammer. She's going to be all over.
So Hammer's not going to put the hammer down on Clarissa Shields?
T-Rex ain't no nails. She ain't no nails. She's a fucking T-Rex.
Gonna be interesting, bro. Except for
she, like I say, that's all she ever boxed with was men. She grew up in a gym full of men, boxing them all the time. So
he's
definitely a force to be reckoned with. So it ain't gonna be easy for Hammer. She was a champion for 8 years. You know what I'm saying? But she ain't never been in the ring with nobody like no Clarissa Shields, man.
Gonna be interesting, man. I would have to ride with Clarissa too. I just think from watching her, no disrespect to Christina Hammer, I just think that Clarissa Shields is a different type of fighter, you know. And she might have been fighting fighters over there, but man, you know, Clarissa Shields is, you know, she's blazing the trail and she's brutal, man. I mean, she's brutal in the ring. She's very tough in the ring. So We're gonna see is April the 13th, Atlantic City in Two Means backyard, and we'll see that and see how that goes. So big ups to the women boxing doing it big. And of course, the last item on our agenda is of course Dylan White versus Dominic Breazeale, targeted for July. Of course, how did we get here? How did we get the WBC getting Dominic Breazeale and Dylan White together? Well, let's do a quick synopsis. Of course, Dominic troubled Breazeale. He's 20-1, 20-1, 18 knockouts. And of course, Dylan White's 25-1 with 18 knockouts. Okay, they are looking at those two guys facing off possibly in the UK, according to Eddie Hearn, who is trying to work the deal in position. Of course, the WBC decided to try to make it work. Dominic Breazeale, who was complaining about not getting his mandatory shot at Deontay Wilder for his belt. Of course, the WBC then ordered the rematch between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder to happen, which of course pushed Dominic Breazeale down and made him wait again. Of course, he took on a lesser fighter recently and beat him just to stay busy. But both of these guys are on a mission to prove that they belong. Dylan White, who has been chasing Anthony Joshua for years now, several years now, he's won several fights to get back into contention as one of the top 5 heavyweights in the world. So much respect to Dylan White. Didn't he? On my only critique of Dylan White, and you chime in with me, Eddie, if you disagree with me or you agree, is the fact that when the deal was offered recently for him to fight Anthony Joshua after he defeated David Chizoria for the second time, which was a garbage time fight, I wouldn't have even took it, but of course for the money. But Dylan defeated him, and of course the deal was you beat him, then you get a shot at Anthony Joshua. According to reports, Dylan White didn't like the money, backed out of the fight, and decided to go another route to a belt, which is through Deontay Wilder, who unfortunately has a mandatory, which is Dominic Breazeale. The WBC then made an interim title for these two fighters to fight, and the winner would fight for, would be ordered in the mandatory against the winner of the Fury and Wilder fight for that belt. So that's how we got to this point where both Dominic Breazeale and Dylan White have fought, and both of these guys are good fighters. Difference is, it's going to be interesting to see these two guys fight. Dominic Breazeale is a very big fight. He's 6'7". Dylan's, I think, 6'4", 6'3", somewhere along in there. But the thing I like about Dylan, I just don't like the fact that Dylan White, if you really was serious, and me and Eddie come from the same school of thought, that if you really was truly serious about fighting for the title, then you would have pulled a Mayweather. You would have took whatever money they gave you if it was all about legacy and it's not about money. And because you're going to make the money anyway, that if you wanted to fight him, just fight him. Take the fight, beat him, take his belts, and then you name your cash game. You can demand what you want because you holding the belts then. But why would you then back out of the fight, then go around to fight another fight? Just take the money and fight the man. If you truly believe that you're better than him, take the deal, fight him, beat him, take his belts, and then you name your price. This is a common logic that I have, and for some reason, I felt disrespectful because they offered me the money was low. Well, I mean, you're not the third best fighter you're a top 5 fighter in the heavyweight class, to be honest with you, yes, but you don't hold any belts of any relevance. You don't have one belt and you're making demands. Whatever money they give you, take the damn money, fight for the belt, take his belts, then order. Are you in agreement with me on this, Eddie?
Oh yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Then on top, he got his ass whooped by him before, so hey, he should have took it. He should have took it. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, he think that he probably have a better chance of winning against Wilder. He already knew that. He fought Joshua and got his ass whooped. He think the same thing will happen again.
Well, you're absolutely right. I like I said, I like Dylan White. I just don't think he compares to Anthony Joshua. Joshua beat him, and he was a lot smaller, faster version of himself right now. Now, he bulked up and did get a lot stronger, but that's not what's going to take to beat a guy like Anthony Joshua. He'd had bulked up guys that's standing before him. He just pummels them into the ground. You look at a guy like Klitschko, who was coming off a layoff. We know about the layoff, but still in all, what Klitschko had, after left, he still was able to put Anthony Joshua on the ground. That's more than what Dylan White did. You know, and all he did for the last several years is chase him around, demanding rematches and whatnot. And you finally get an opportunity and you let money stop you? I mean, you're already rich right now. What the hell does the money matter? If you really want the fight, take the fight, beat the guy, take his belts, then you name your fight. It's just asinine how these guys then he'll go back and cry about him not getting a fair split. You don't have a belt, and the guy kicked your ass before. Now you got to chase Deontay Wilder, who, in my opinion, I think that Wilder's about to lose that belt to Tyson Fury. And Fury can go in a number of directions. I don't think Fury is foolish with what Deontay Wilder doing, fighting a man for nothing. I mean, he's fighting Tyson. It's a good fight. Don't get me wrong, boxing people. But he's fighting him for nothing. I mean, the lineal title's not a real title. Even Anthony Joshua astutely said that when he went on ESPN's show and talked to him and talked about the lineal title. He said, I'll fight any one of these guys. He said, the lineal title's not a real title, but if it was, I'll beat him and take that too. So, I mean, it was, you know, whatever. But the reality at the end of the day is you're fighting this guy. You don't gain anything from this fight. If he beats you, he takes your belts. He could take your belt and go, and where you going to be then? You know, it's just crazy. And the guy, you're playing a dangerous game because you know the guy is way more skilled than he is. Way more skilled. I hate to jump back on that train. But anyway, going back to this fight, White and Brazil, both of these guys got their ass knocked out by Anthony Joshua. And Eddie, I read in the records down to you. Who do you think, after watching those fighters, who wins this fight? Now, this is supposed to be in July. These guys are supposed to match up sometimes. And the WBC said the winner of this fight will get a mandatory shot. So the winner of the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight will be the next challenge will be a mandatory match against the winner of this fight, which is Brazil and White. Who wins this fight and why?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's a hard one to call. I never really watched them two fight. I watched Brazil fight. He shows a lot of heart. I'm saying he got up. He got dropped a few times in the fight, got up and won the fight. That showed he does have the heart of a champion for him to get up from a, you know what I'm saying, getting hit. I'm saying knocked down. I mean a serious knockdown, not just flash knockdown, but a serious knockdown. He got up and he won the fight. So it shows right there he got the heart of a champ. But Dylan White, I think I see him fight with Joshua, and he just like Joshua was just too much for him. He just couldn't. He couldn't dig down deep to try to even make it a really competitive fight like that. So I think Brazil, I would go with him. I'm saying because I seem like he got more heart. Even though Dylan White, you know what I'm saying, he has no fear or nothing. You know, he doesn't fear no man, but I think he gets hit a little too much. Yeah, I think he gets hit a little too much. I think I'll go with Brazil by knockout.
Yeah, that's a real tough call, Eddie. I agree with you because I've seen enough of Dylan White. I've seen a lot of Dylan White fights. You know, I've seen Dominic Brazil fights, and to be honest with you, Dylan White's a way more accomplished and complete fighter than Dominic Brazil is. I'm just gonna be honest with you, but the thing is, the caveat to this is, which Dylan White are we getting? Are we getting the elusive boxer Dylan White, or are we getting the bruiser slugger guy that's coming in there and trying to do what he did to Joseph Parker? You know, when he fought Joseph Parker and he was just standing in front of Joseph Parker thinking, you know, and just throwing punches at him. And, you know, are we going to get the smart boxer Dylan White? That's the question. If we get the slugger, he's going to get knocked out because Dominic Brazil has power and he's bigger. He's going to lean on him, and he definitely will knock his ass out. But the issue with Dylan White is these fights get on and he gets up and upper, he's taking way too much abuse. These last fights that I watched from him, except for the Lucas Brown fight, which was total garbage. He just flattened Lucas Brown because Lucas Brown's a bum. But all these other fighters had a lot more skill than Lucas Brown did. And to be quite honest with you, Dominic Brazil, 6'7", Dylan 6'4", 6'3", somewhere around in there. He's gonna have to bring out the boxer guy to kind of deal with him. You can't stand in front of Dominic Brazil and think you're gonna play slugger. You know, you're gonna be getting up off the campus just like Jarrell Miller will be against Anthony Joshua. So at the end of the day, it depends on who we see. If it's Dylan White, the boxer, he should be able to beat Dominic Breazeale. But if it's Dylan White, the slugger, the guy that want to throw power punches and not move his damn head and stand there and get punched in the head like he did that Parker fight when Parker put him on his ass late in that fight and he barely got up. If we get that guy, then that guy won't make it. And remember, if he loses this fight right here, this is going to drop him significantly, because all of the last several years of work to redeem himself from the Anthony Joshua loss, he got knocked through the ropes, will be all for naught if he loses this fight to Dominic Breazeale. So this is a really big fight for two guys who are right on the precipice of elevating their careers up, because it gives them it's a mandatory shot at the belt after the rematch between Wilder and Fury. They can't do a rematch past that, a third fight. The mandatory has to be these two fighters. One of these, they'll get another shot at the crown. If whoever loses it, if Dylan White loses this fight, it'll be a shame, because all that work he's did over them last several years of trying to come back from that loss to Anthony Joshua will be all for nothing. So that's my take. But anyway, that'll do it for Ring Kings Boxing episode 3.